Hello, welcome to the City of Savannah Municipal Archives Orientation for Researchers. My name is Kelly Zakovic and I am the archivist for the City of Savannah Municipal Archives. Today we're going to go over a little bit about what we do at the Municipal Archives, an introduction to our collections and what we have, how to use our collections in case you are interested in researching with us, and our digital collections that can be accessed from home. The City of Savannah Municipal Archives collects, manages, preserves, and makes accessible records documenting the City of Savannah's history. We administer the Records Management Program and the City Record Center in order to increase efficiency for city agencies, and we share the city's history with employees, citizens, and visitors through outreach activities. So our mission is really twofold. We have an internal focus to serve city staff and an external focus in order to help the public access our collections. We do things like tours, online and physical exhibits. We have a lecture series. We do educational activities for school groups and even orientation like this. And we facilitate research appointments for researchers. The collections that we have, these are a couple things that you need to keep in mind when thinking about what we have. Our collection reflects an incorporation date of 1789. So we really don't hold records prior to that date. If you're looking for things like colonial era records, we are not the place, but you may want to go to Georgia Archives or the Georgia Historical Society for those records. Our collections cover Savannah corporate limits or the city limits. So we really don't hold things for unincorporated Chatham County, or if you're looking for Tybee or Thunderbolt or the islands, we are not the place for that. And you really have to think, just because it's in the city limits now does not mean that it was always in the city limits. And so you have to know whether or not a location that you're researching was in the city limits at the time, and we have a lot of tools to help with that if that's something you're unsure about, but sometimes that's something that trips up researchers. And also, finally, the City of Savannah government functions. So think about the way that the city interacts with citizens and businesses. We have things like building permits, inspection records, city council minutes, mayor's papers, birth, marriage, and death records, information about city cemeteries, and so on and so forth. We have very few personal papers or papers of private organizations. The largest exception is the W.W. Law collection. W.W. Law was a local civil rights leader, preservationist, historian, and we do have his. But if you're looking for things about military groups or private businesses, private organizations, we are not the place that have those. So you want to do research with us? Well, the place to start is our website, which is www.savannahga.gov/municipal-archives. This page will basically, get you everywhere you need to go. On the left-hand side, that's our navigation pane. To do research, using the archives is going to be the place you want to go, but you can also explore some of our other links. City history will take you to historical research projects that we have, other reference materials about city history. If you want to know about any programs that we're doing, that's under City Hall exhibits and programs. But also, I want to point out, and I'll probably say this a couple times during this presentation, that it's extremely important that you contact us before trying to come in and research with us. We are a small staff of only 3 people, and our research room is also small as well. So if you just show up, there's a chance that we may not be available, we may not be in the office, or our research room is already occupied by other researchers or another group. So it's just really, really important that you give us a heads up and just tell us what you're researching, make sure that we have something that can help you and that we are available to help you when the time comes. So this is the using the collections page. From here on the sidebar, again, that's your navigation pane. You'll have the Explore the Collections and Research Guide sections. I'll talk about those in a minute. But also, there's another way to contact us there on the left, or under the Ask a Question hyperlink under the Reference Requests tab. This page also basically has everything that you'll need to know, especially down here, preparing for a research visit. Our rules and procedures for use of archival collections, that's really important. You should review that before you come in. We do have a public research application that we ask our researchers to fill out once a calendar year. And that's available here, but you're also welcome to fill that out on site when you come in. And if you have any intentions of publishing any of our materials, there is the request for permission to reproduce form here as well. So just an overview of some of our rules and procedures. Again, I'll state that appointments must be made at least 1 day in advance. Our phone number is 912-641-6412, or you can email archives@savannahga.gov. And when you email us, introduce yourself, tell us what you're working on. If you know what you would like to see, tell us that in that email, or if you're not quite sure where to start, tell us what you're thinking about, and somebody will be happy to get you started. No food or drink is permitted in the archives. We don't want to risk any spills or invite any critters. So if you do come with a drink, a Starbucks, whatever, we have shelves in our lobby that we will ask you to put your drinks on. We ask, of course, that you handle all of our materials carefully. So don't lean, don't put your elbow on something, don't put your notebook on top of a record and write on your notebook. These records have lasted, in some cases, hundreds of years, and we want to keep them lasting another couple hundred years. So handling them appropriately is important. Probably the most asked question in any archives. For us, we only require that you use cotton gloves for handling photographs, film, and artifacts. We do not ask that you wear gloves while handling paper-based records. We do only use pencil in our facility. No pens may be used. Again, we don't want anything leaving a permanent mark on archival records. We do permit photography, including your cell phones, as long as you don't use flash. This is something that's becoming more and more popular. People come in, they find the records, they take a photograph of the record so they have exactly what they need when they get back home. They don't have to remember, they don't have to take detailed notes on site. The more and more we get people coming in and just photographing everything and then doing their interpretation at home, whatever really works for you, of course. We do offer photocopy services to give you hard copies of records. We do charge 10 cents a page for that, exact change or check only. And we can scan and email records to you as long as they're under 11 by 17 inches. That's as big as our scanner is. And as long as it's a reasonable amount of material, not multiple books, hundreds of pages, there's no charge for scans. If you do want to reproduce any of our materials for publication, books, articles, exhibits, and so on, there's no charge for that, but you must fill out the form that I pointed out earlier to obtain permission before publication. And one of the most important things when doing any kind of research is the citation. We ask that you cite our materials using the item and collection identification information, and then City of Savannah Archives, Savannah, Georgia. One thing I will point out, it is so important to cite records as you go. If when you're finishing up your project, you find that you cannot remember where you found this critical piece of information, and you send me an email saying, where did I find this? What is this from? I'm not going to be able to know. I didn't do the research. You did the research. So citing as you go, I just cannot stress it enough. Write that collection down. If you're looking at it, take a picture of the form that tells you what the item is while you're looking at it. There's all kinds of strategies that we can talk about, but I cannot stress enough how important it is to cite as you go. So we have a number of research guides available. Some of our most popular are our building research checklist and our genealogy checklist, but we are ever growing our number of guides. And these will tell you the most useful collections that we have for that topic. So for example, this is the building research checklist. This lists all of our most commonly used building materials. And this kind of gives you a snapshot of information, and then the hyperlink will lead you back to the finding aid for the collection where you can get more information. What you have on this page, you have the title of the collection, and then I think really importantly, you have the dates that the collection covers. And that way you can rule in and out really easily if a record is something that would be helpful for you. So for example, this tax assessment book, if you want one from 1920, you can look at that first line there and say, okay, these only go up to 1912. That's not going to help me. On to the next thing. And then if it is something that's helpful, you'd click on the hyperlink, go and read more about it. We have our Explore the Collections page where all of our collections are listed that are publicly available. They're listed on alphabetical order. Again, you'll get the collection name, the record series number. Again, you'll get those dates, and you'll get the extent as well on this little snapshot. I think the extent is kind of important to have because sometimes we'll get people that say, I want to see all the Committee on Accounts papers. Well, you can see here that that's 7.5 feet. And we're not going to be able to provide you with 15 boxes worth of material for a research appointment. So getting those records as narrowly defined as possible is going to make the most of your time. It's going to make the most of my time. It's going to work best for everybody once you narrow that down a little bit. So I've said the word finding aid a couple times, and if you're not quite familiar with what a finding aid is, it's a description of records that gives a repository intellectual control over materials and that assists users to gain access and understand materials in context. And importantly, it includes information about how we got the records, how it was processed, if there's any required or useful historical information, the scope of the collection, how it's arranged, and then an inventory of the actual items within it. So you can get a lot of information about records before even coming into the archives and before even seeing them. You're going to be able to know if something's going to help you or not just from the information on the finding aid. So this is what they look like. This is a sample first page from our inspections department. Just to break it down, here at the top, you have our record series number, the collection title. Again, you're going to have the dates and the extent, just like on the website. And then you're going to have, in this case, it's an organizational history that will tell you about the inspections department, what they do, what their history is, so that you can kind of get a sense of the function and therefore what might be in the records. And then we have a scope and content note here, which will tell you all of the records types within this series. And then you can scroll down, and if you want, say, building permits, you would scroll down to 5600 IN 20, and that would have more information on our building permits in the sub-series finding aid. So this is an example of the sub-series finding aid. It's a similar format. You have that snapshot of information at the top with refined information specifically for these records. The sub-series description is really helpful because it's going to tell you the exact information that these books have, which in this case is the ward, the lot number, the owner's name, the value of improvement, and the summary by ward for each 6-month period with a taxable value. If those items aren't what you're trying to find out, then this may not be the collection for you. On the other hand, if this is what you're trying to find, ta-da, okay, I know this is going to help me. Great. It's really important to pay attention to the arrangement note. Our records are most commonly arranged either chronologically, alphabetical by name, or arranged by the legal description, which is the lot and ward number for properties. And based on that arrangement is going to determine what records you want to view and how you select that. So let's say you want to view 5600 IN 10.1. If you're looking for a property that was built in 1875, you're going to send me an email and tell me 5600 IN 10.1 Volume 1 is what I would like to see. So as promised, here's a little bit on our digital collections. We have digital collections available in a number of formats and via a number of platforms. Our photographs are mostly contained on the digital image catalog. which is keyword searchable, and it gives you all kinds of good metadata about photographs. Not all of our photographs are available through the digital image catalog. We mostly just do a representative sampling of most of our collections. So if you don't see something there that you would like, feel free to send an email and we can determine if we have it or not. We have a number of collections available through the Digital Library of Georgia, and most of these are actual records versus photographs in a lot of instances. Importantly, we have almost 500 of our maps digitized and searchable through the Digital Library of Georgia. We have annual reports, mayor's papers, all kinds of good stuff. So I encourage you to check that out. We have our Savannah City code books from 1854 to 1945 available. These are in PDF format and they can be keyword searched using Control F. Finally, we have city records available on Ancestry.com. These mostly focus on our vital records and things that have to do with genealogy, such as birth, marriage, and death records, cemetery records, voter information, even the immigration records that we have. And if you personally do not have an Ancestry account, often universities or the public library do have publicly accessible Ancestry accounts, so you can always check with them if there's something that you need from Ancestry. So just to sum up, I'll finish with a few just research tips. Again, I'll say make that research appointment with us, contact us, let us know what you're thinking about, let us know what you see, and we will be happy to work with you. Start your research online with those research guides and the finding aids. And if you're feeling confident, if you're feeling ready, email us with a list of the items that you would like to see before your appointment. And that would look like information with the collection, a record series number, and specific volumes and item numbers. It's completely fine though if you're not ready at that point yet. Feel free to email us. We are here to help guide you on your research journey. We are not here to tell you the answers. I can't tell you specific pieces of information. That's the researcher's job. But we are happy to point you in the right direction or help you figure out where you may need to go. If you're not sure and you do come to us with help, give me as many dates, names, legal descriptions of property, all of these things that you know, so that we can help you to figure out where to start. And finally, our phone number again is 912-651-6412, or you can email us at archives@savannahga.gov. Thanks, and I hope this was helpful. Bye.